So let's get started. I'm very happy that 2020 has released the latest and greatest version, version 12 of Insight. And today I'm kind of filling in the role here of our product management, and you will see that in 1 second while I'm doing that. We are happy to show you also some live software. In the last few versions, we have done PowerPoint presentations, but we wanted to go back to some live presentations. And as you know, everything can happen during a live presentation. Anyhow, hope we are well prepared. Let's get started. Most of you guys know me. Joerg Brauns, I'm the Senior Director for Business Development here at 2020, and I will guide you through the presentation here with the help of some of my colleagues. From a point of agenda, what we wanted to do as a first step, brief introduction of our new product management. Right after that, we have selected 2 topics which we want to show you a little bit more in detail and also do some live demo on this one here. As you probably know, we are releasing with new versions endless of new functionalities and new features. Through the download media, you always get the release notes and you see all the details in there. Obviously, it takes too long to go through all of them. We also wanted to show at least these 2 functionalities here, which is the new browser-based shop floor execution module, and then also the new optimization management strategy, which we have. These are really 2 of the highlights of the version 12, besides some other ones. Some other new functionalities, I will just touch base on this one, and then at the end we have a Q&A. So with that, I would like to introduce you to a little change which we have done here at 2020. Some of you probably know we have done some acquisitions over the last few years, and we want to use and utilize really that what we have acquired over the years, and through that we purchased basically, also we acquired a couple of years ago a Brazilian software company, which is market leader for the South American market, and these guys bring wealth of knowledge with it, and we found that finding common ground in so many requirements from the market in South America, North America, and also Europe, and we decided to have a very experienced person on board who is steering the ship of 2020 Insight from a product management side. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Leandro Rodriguez. He is now in charge of the 2020 Insight product. Helping him is Nico Wiltermann, and the 2 of them will drive new market requirements from different kind of geographies, which you will hopefully very soon see in newer version of 2020 Insight. So Leandro, it's all yours.
Yes, okay. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here with us. Let me introduce myself. Well, as Joerg said, I'm new here in this new role, but of course I was before in another role in the company. Well, as he said, my name is Leandro. I'm 49 years old, not so young. I'm now responsible for leading the product managing group in the manufacturing domain in our company. Also, with Nico Butenberg and myself. We are working together as product managers for 2020 Insight in this moment. I'm located in our office in Caxias do Sul, sul of Brazil. It's near to the most important furniture manufacturing region in Brazil. Regarding to my education, I have degree in mechanical engineering. Also, I have master degree in product development. And now I have returned to the university. I'm young also, I need to study. And I'm doing a new postgraduate course in Industry 4.0. New knowledge, it's important. Regarding with my professional experience, 14 years in mechanical industries, 11 years in furniture industry. I've been working for ProMob, a 2020 company, for 10 years. I'm in charge of supporting the development of 2020's manufacturing solutions to integrate the design of furniture industry with our ERP solution, generating information to shop floor production as bill of materials, drawings, routines, and CNC program machines. Also, I have a good knowledge in shop floor process, integrations between design and shop floor, cut optimizer programs, and integration with CNC machines. With the 2020 Insight team, I'm here to help, learn, and share experience to continue improve our strong solutions. Regarding to Nico, as Nico couldn't be with us, let me give some information about him. He is 31 years old, working with us now as junior product manager. His education is industrial wood engineering. His professional experience: before our 2020 company, he worked for Numerous company as product manager with international CAD implementations. He also worked for Stormer Kitchens as head of IT. He implemented 2020 Insight and replaced 4 legacy systems. And since 2017, he has been working at our 2020 office in Germany. He is changing his role from senior product manager to product manager. Well, thank you again to be here with us. And now I return to Joerg, who will continue the presentation of our new Insight v12 with new useful features. Thank you, Joerg.
Thanks, Leandro. Okay, so going further, so the first step we wanted to show you is the browser-based shop floor execution module. So you probably have heard that there's cloud and all these kind of stuff requirements in the market. So what we have decided is moving the 2020 Insight application basically completely into web browser application. So that means we go step by step at this point in time, and the first release with version 12 is now on the shop floor side, because we see that a lot of our customers using mobile devices, tablets, where they want to have the possibility of scanning, seeing information, and so on. So the benefits of this one is obviously that we have a very easy access from anywhere, everywhere, with all kinds of devices. We are more flexible with what we present in the user interface, and you will see that in a few minutes here. It works basically on any browser-enabled device, so it doesn't matter if you use Internet Explorer, Chrome, if it's an Android device, if it's an Apple device. It's very advantageous having those kinds of functionality on a browser-based enabled device. It's in sync 100% with the 2020 platform and our architecture. So it's whatever that performance or the task happens on that web browser site, links directly back to the Insight database structure. One thing which is very important for customers who are currently live with an existing version of Insight, and you feel that you have certain devices, you have certain customized forms for a handheld device, for an example, a certain type of scanners, we can basically split the license on the shop floor side, that some of them run browser-based and others still run through the regular Insight application. So a couple of these features, I want to go through this PowerPoint deck here and explain some of them, but I will also show those in a second here in a live presentation. The first one obviously is the camera support, which means you have this little icon. You still can scan like you did that before with another device, but you can also use your camera of the phone in order to do that. Lots of graphs can be integrated in these forms. This is just an example here. So it's a nice way of being flexible, having and presenting on the screen charts and other graphs, so that visualize progress of certain jobs, for an example. There's a possibility of using different kind of audio files. A lot of companies always struggle, you know, scan something twice and you haven't scanned it, so you want a 1 beep, a double beep, a long beep, or you like any other kind of sounds. That's all supported now with the new application. We can support these new QR codes as well. All the regular ones, obviously, as well. Some companies have asked us if we can have these newer barcodes, because there is additional information you can hide basically behind this one here. Everything is basically touch-based. So you can zoom in, zoom out the way you usually do that on any kind of mobile device. A couple of these things I wanted to show you in a few minutes here. The screen, what often happens, certain forms of Insight, they look funny then on a different, smaller device. With this new technology, they will adapt automatically in the background. The size is changed. If you flip your phone to the side, it will change. But again, a couple of these things I will show you. We also have digital time tracking. So you can start a job, stop a job, or pause it, then continue at some point in time. And the interesting part is it's a functionality which we have since a little bit, but I'm not sure if everyone is aware of it. You also have the possibility when you scan something that you can assign that task you are scanning either to a sales order line, a project. You probably know these regular con ID or the ICN ID. It's a nice thing if you have a certain project and you want to allocate a certain time to that project by scanning something. Let's say to if it's a project, you basically have hidden in your barcode these PRJ plus then the project ID from the background, and then every time you start a job, you stop a job, you pause it, whatever you do reflects directly and will be added to the project. And you can use the standard business intelligence functionality or the reporting technology from Insight in order to pull this information out and see how much time you have really identified to that particular project. And then we have enhanced here some visual images. So there are more and more coming throughout the development. It's just an easier way for the people on the shop floor side to identify what in this case for a container, for an example, is, right? If I use a palette to scan something on it, or if I scan it into a box and so on. This makes also a lot of sense when you work in an environment where, let's say, English is a second language, and some employees on the shop floor side rather see an image than the text with it. So enough of that. I wanted to show you a couple of things here. So for that, I am opening a web browser here, and makes this in a way that you see basically the inside screen here. So I picked the shop floor site here with some scanning points. And some of you are more familiar, some of you may be less familiar. So if I go, for example, in the work orders over here, and I have the possibility of saying select all dates here, and let me get started here from the beginning. I still have the same kind of technology like I had before, right? Where I can drag and drop a header to group by this one, and then I could go into this one here. And for an example, I wanted to select only a certain batch, in my case, my batch 966, and I see all the individual work orders for that particular batch. Same kind of functionality, but just browser-based. So I have the possibility of scanning it. And as you can see here, it reflects these, and then after a few seconds, it drops it off the list. Again, I have the possibility of scanning something. In my case, you see me now. Typically, you would see the barcode scanner here when you do this with your camera. The other possibility we can do over here is also we can go into the details. And in these details, I can see all my individual work orders, all the images come across here. And I can swipe from the left to the right side if there are additional drawings, and I can see all of this one on my mobile device. Another one which we also have done here is that I can scan these as rework, that something is broken. Obviously here I can individual parts which I can select. I can select all of them, and once I do that, I still have the same functionality that I have a reason code reason code here, and then I can scan these as rework or not. So for an example, if I have this time tracking functionality, I can enter, for an example, my ID here. So I don't have anything to scan, so I'm simulating it. And in that case, I can start a job. And as you can see, the time is running here. I can pause it. And when I do that, all of these steps, what I'm doing here, are recorded in here. If this is such a too big screen, I have also the possibility of scrolling into a screen to make it larger over here. I can continue working on that particular job, and then at some point in time I complete it, and then it's basically completed, and it tracks all of this information, keeps it in the inside database, so that you have always the possibility going back into it to see and analyze these time you've spent on a certain task. Again, we also support new graphics. For an example, if I'm in my shipment here and I pick a shipment out of this shipment and zoom out a little bit here maybe, then I have a graph very easy represents what has been loaded and what's still scheduled to be loaded. You can see on the one side the cabinets already on the truck, the other ones which are waiting, and nice one, you can also see where they are at this point in time. Obviously, the whole thing works also on a mobile device, and I would like to simulate this here to you. So I have the possibility of opening this one up here on the side. Actually, I have to click this one more time. And so as you can see, I can run this on my phone, and this is my vertical environment on an iPhone 10. If I flip the phone to the side, it will automatically adjust. It's a very nice functionality. The other one is, for an example, if I run it on the tablet, on an iPad, for example, it would look like this one here. If I flip it to the side, it adjusts this automatically. Nice things to, however you turn your device, that it adapts accordingly, so that you get the most out of these screens here.
Joerg, if I could just add one thing here, Jeff.
Sure.
We also have several other screens in the web shop floor system that are specifically designed to be used on smaller resolution devices. So they actually are, have less information on one screen and are better suited for small devices. So we have basically a mixture of ones that are better suited for large and better suited for smaller, but and then some that will actually adapt accordingly as you shrink your device size. So just really depends on the application and what type of function it is.
Thanks, Jeff. Alrighty, so continuing here, there are a few other modules in this module structure. One thing which is important to point out here, it's we are moving away a little bit from the concurrent user to named users. Obviously, you know, when you log into through your mobile device into the system, from that moment on, you have to have a user password from that particular device. So it's a little bit different the way it works, but it should not affect any of us, of our customers here on the license side. These named users can obviously also be checkpoints. So it could be, it doesn't need to be John Doe who always logs in, but it could be a login could be, for an example, a machine setter, right? A login could be the finishing department. So probably the same way like you do this today. And again, I wanted to have this here, that these new inside shop floor users can coexist with the existing shop floor users in inside. On the requirement side, we wanted to point out that if you move to version 12, you have to be on SQL version 2017 or higher. For everyone who wants to move when they upgrade to version 12 and want to go to the browser-based shop floor, you will get these web services from us, which is usually, there's a price tag on this one. You will get this for free from us because that is required in order to connect the mobile devices with the database. All the other things pretty much standard here, and we will we have also documentation in the installation media on other minor requirements. So the second big topic we want to talk about today is the optimization module of Insight. Lots of you have seen already a nesting optimizer from us. On the panel saw optimizer, we always had to kind of chicken out, right? And had to go with a third-party tool. But now, through an acquisition, we also have a very strong algorithm for a saw optimizer. So that means at this point in time, we can basically offer everything from the Insight suite, like everything around panel saw optimizer, block nesting optimizer, and true shape nesting optimizer. So we are closing the entire loop here by our product offering. And the nice one is the strategy on how we have done this in the background is very interesting. It's different than maybe other companies do that, but we have a kind of a hub in there, and I would like to explain this in a sec. So as everyone know, and maybe there are newer guys here on the session than the ones who work since many years with the solution. Insight is a modular structure. And at some point in time, once a job comes in, and we have this in a sales order so that we can manage the job, at this point in time, we are basically in the position of scheduling production. And with that, we can run this through the optimizer. So some of the benefits here is that this new optimizer technology, which we're offering, is fully integrated. So it means everything around material management, when you process a job and the system says I need for this run or this batch, I need 10 4x8 sheets. So the system will also check, do I have 4x8 sheets even in inventory or not? Or if not, then I may have to do this with 5x10 sheets, and the system will calculate this automatically accordingly. The other one is the process is fully integrated within Insight. So that means if you do status changes, you can trigger automatically an optimization in the background. If you complete something, it can trigger something automatically, right? Backflashing raw material and so on. Versus when we have done this in the past with third-party tools, that is not that automated at the end of the day. Another new functionality in here is that we also support remnant management. So all the offcuts you have, produce a little label and keep that half of a sheet, for an example, very close to the machine. Now, somebody has a replenishment order that you have to cut components for drawer boxes, for an example, or you have a job and you need 5.5 sheets. So the system will automatically know that there's half of a sheet available on the machine and will include these into your optimization run. And something which I think it's awesome, it's that we are supporting now not just grain matching within a cabinet, like when you have, particularly in the office industry, drawer over door or box file and so on. But now we are supporting also grain matching across cabinets. So the way it looks like from the architecture is, once I have a sales order or job or demand, however you want to call it, have it in the system, we run these through these hubs, the optimization console. And we basically support here for an algorithm for the optimizer, our new tool, which is called 2020 Cut Pro, which is the panel saw and the nesting. Then obviously what you all know is our two-shape nesting. So if I have curved parts, we support that as well with an algorithm. And we can also export this information to third-party tools out there if you want to run this through another algorithm. Again, this is fully integrated with the inventory module of Insight. We produce all kinds of paperwork for the shop floor. Even it's integrated with the scheduling functionality. All kinds of labels can be produced at any given time, either if you have pre-labeling at the machine or if you need a touch screen. So you print a label once you take a part of that machine bed. We continue producing all the final CNC outputs. And we're integrating now also other material handling machines. For an example, a wind store system or a barge step. And here's just a snapshot on how an output could look like in the new version of Insight. And with that, I would like to give this over to Wolfgang. You probably all know him, and he will demonstrate this in a live environment for us.
Thanks, Joerg. Okay, so I've prepared a little example here in my imaginary factory where You see here a list of cabinets for one job, one sales order. And as most of you are probably familiar with, we have a detailed bill of material as a result for each and every order line. And I want to look at a couple of the details here. So in my imaginary factory, I made the decision that the side panels, I want to do send them to a nested-based router to do optimization there. So you see we're using basically routings to make a decision, what's the process, what should happen to the part. So here my nesting router is basically a step in the routing for the side panel. Then for other parts, such as here my bottom shelf, here I just have a regular cutting, so a panel saw is what's going to produce the size of this part. Then to figure out what the material is, so you're most likely familiar with our concept of using top core bottom materials and then arrive at what we call here the implied components. So we've decided for this bottom shelf, which is 571 by 609 millimeters. We need approximately 3.7 square feet of this melamine. Now, this is only a wild guess. We don't really know what the yield is going to be. What is actually going to happen is unknown at this point. So this is the best guess we can have based on the size, and we may or may not have applied a yield factor to that. Then when we look at these source items, so here is, for example, the 19 millimeter source item, and it's in the unit of measure of square feet. Or here is a 6 millimeter item. Also, my primary unit is square feet. And the key is we can assign item alternates. So this means these are now representing the actual boards, the actual sheets that we are potentially going to use. So here we're basically giving it potential, or the optimizing system now a list of we can, if the bill of material calls for melamine white 6 millimeter, it could be coming out of any of those sheets. And we have effective dates and inactive dates where you can control whether something is used or not. Sequence is basically the kind of the priority, how things will be worked through. And then here you see this is the column, and Joerg mentioned it in the presentation, the actual usable quantity. So we can, and that's an optional thing, we don't have to, pay attention to what you actually have on hand when making an optimization decision. So for example, if I for some reason would need, I only have 21 5x10 sheets. So if I have a bigger job, but at some point in time we'll run out of those, and it'll certainly have to start using the other ones. But so those are all potential alternates. We don't know at this point which one is going to be used. Then we have in order to feed the optimization, we have the concept of what we call optimization batches. And inside this is a fairly flexible concept. You're not forced to optimize, let's say, one kitchen at a time together, or even one production order at a time. So this is a very open concept. So as long as it's an item on your bill of material, it can be assigned to an optimization batch. I prepared a workflow with a fair amount of automation where I'm just going to say I'm sending an entire job, an entire kitchen into these optimization batches. And I can do that through status change. And you see I have here two potential paths I can go by. One, this would be maybe in a scenario for estimating or something like that, where I don't really want to be limited to having a material actually on hand in the factory, then we can basically run an optimization and say ignore or assume unlimited inventory. Or if I actually really want to start produce this, then I want to make sure I'm only using sheets that I actually have on hand. So, and again, for demonstration purposes, I set up a couple different workflows. Yeah, maybe one other thing to point out while I'm here. In the sales order inquiry here we have a nice summary of the materials. And right now you see I need 1,200 square feet and about 2,000 square feet of the 19 mil. So we have this square foot item is really in the bill of material, which apparently I have very little on hand for the most part. But so my status change on the sales order triggered the creation of two what we call optimization batches. And as I mentioned before, since in my factory I send some parts to a router and other parts to a panel saw, it broke that out into two different optimization batches. And in an optimization batch, so the first definition is basically what are all the pieces that are in here. So you see here is my, basically I put all my rectangular parts, shelves, and so on in this optimization batch. And in the other one for the router is where I put all the side panels and also the corner shelves. I put those in the optimization batch for nesting. And then, so this first batch was intended to be processed through panel saw. So we used our, Joerg mentioned the name, the CutPro optimizer, designed for a saw was used. And we came up with a total of 166 panels, 71% yield. And you see here are the actual sheets that were selected in detail. I need 104 sheets of 4x4, 4x8, and so on, the different quantities. As a visual confirmation, the patterns are available for review. We can show more or less part detail. I guess I need to pick something other than back panels probably to show. Here is a more interesting example. Yeah, so with the part details, we can show or hide the actual machining just to clean up the display. So this is all the results for my saw optimization, for my router optimization, which is using true shape nesting. You see now, instead of having just the patterns as they are needed for saws, we get patterns, so it can be done on a nest-based router, so it put my corner counterparts in the right spot. Then as the actual output that is being created, so again, I put a fair amount of automation in place. So when I pressed that button on the sales order, first the optimization batch was created, and then I went through more steps. So first we did the optimization itself. Then if there is multiple runs, we can here make a decision, use the one with the best yield or maybe the least amount of patterns or the lowest cost. And then I have these two more steps that are happening. One is creating the actual output for the saw. So you see, based on the timestamp, this just happened a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, this is a text file as it would be sent directly to a saw. It contains all the part information, the boards and all the cuts, all that stuff. I mean, of course, depending on the manufacturer of the saw, there's different post processes, different outputs. But we basically get the output for the saw. And for the same thing happened for my nesting system. Here I was for now very similar to the true-shape nesting or ABC nest. Every sheet gets its own program that we post to whatever CNC machine you have. So we have here a BSC machine, and of course you get the code for the BSC machine coming out here using our GenPost technology. And then in the last step, what we did is basically, or actually it's this step, processing the panel run is writing back the actual results of the optimization. So since we started out with having for each and every part, based on the size, a certain amount of square footage of the square foot item, but after the optimization, we arrived, instead of on a square foot item, we figured out exactly what we want, either a 4x4 sheet or a 4x8, things like that. And that finds its way back into the bill of material. I'll refresh here my view. Yeah, you see now this bottom shelf still has the same top core bottom, but now instead of the part number that was in square foot, it's a part number of each, and it's a fraction of a sheet. So basically, so this bottom shelf needs 0.122 of a sheet. So since we know exactly this order item on which sheet it ended up with, we know what are all its neighbors, what are all the other parts that are occupying a sheet, and we basically just split up that sheet and give every piece, make sure that the right quantity is added. So the actual bill of material update, looking at that sales order again. So you see now, instead of the square foot item, I have the exact quantity here. We need basically 70 sheets exactly, 10 sheets. So all these fractions that were added to every piece will add up to whole numbers of sheets. And that is basically my live demonstration.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Wolfgang. So obviously, if you are interested, in particular in your cases of how you optimize today and which kind of steps are involved, and if you want to output to one or to multiple machines, or you want to run some simulation and so on, obviously our support and our service team is always there to answer more detailed questions for you. Today it's really showing you some of the functionalities which we have developed on a higher level, but going into a deeper one would then be the case of the service team. That should do. You should see my screen again here. So some additional information for the release. We have also shifted the license security side from a device, from a USB stick, basically, to a soft key. So you see some advantages here, but the biggest one is really that we can very easily update modules, licenses. So basically, if you asked or you purchase another license, we don't have to exchange these CSV, C2V keys or files back and forth anymore. Very easily, we can update this one on our end, and it's directly connected with your system, and you have instantaneously that module or that license available. That also helps where we get a lot of questions when you have temporarily for a couple of weeks, you need a certain license to run something in a test environment. We can update that as well. And the next step for us is that the 2020 construct license will also be available very soon on the soft key. So today you still need a USB key for 2020 construct, even for the latest, greatest version of that. But for the full Insight suite, there's no USB key necessary anymore. It's also a nice one, means also you cannot lose it anymore. So overall, with version 12 release, we have done 148 enhancements and new functionalities. Some of them, you have seen them today, but there are a lot of others. And please have a closer look at the release notes, either in the announcement, which you probably have all gotten from us, or through the download media. There's always a folder in there with a file of the release notes where you can see all the details. If you have any other questions related later on, or you want to get more details on certain things, please contact our Insight support team or your project manager, either way, so that we can get back to you in order to ask some more questions you have particular for your project and how to apply certain things or how you upgrade and so on. With that, I wanted to open the Q&A side here. I do see that some of you guys ask questions through the chat room, which is great. Thank you so much. So there was a question. Does this new shop floor, does it support custom XML shop floor frame? And so I guess at this point in time in version 12, not, but we have plans for form abstraction language, which will come in future versions. For now, you can continue to use a custom XML form in the existing desktop shop floor client. So that was the point which I made before. If you have something really customized at this point in time for a certain device or certain information, these two versions, like the web browser based and the desktop floor client, which you currently have, they can coexist beside each other. So if you have, for an example, let's say 20 shop floor licenses, you could say 15 of them I want to convert into web browser based, and the other 5 you keep. So there's no change then. Hopefully that answers the question for some of the other guys as well. Is the license required the same for browser-based shop floor? Yes, it's basically exactly the same. So if you have a web browser-based or you have the existing one, it's the same. Is each one? Then
so I think that question, Joerg, was does each person individually need a new shop floor named user license?
Okay.
And the answer is no, not necessarily. That's definitely an approach one can take or can take, but you can also share licenses by logical function or by logical user, or by, in the case of shop floor, it often makes sense to do that by checkpoint. So you can set up a named user with the name of the checkpoint, and maybe you have different shifts, and the person in each shift knows the login for that checkpoint, and so that checkpoint can be used over and over again, at different points in the day by different people.
Okay.
The only thing to keep in mind is that a named user shares many of the settings in Insight, like permissions and rights and grid views and things like that. So whatever you decide to share between users, then you're also sharing all those common settings as well.
Okay, answer that question. Then there was another one, which I see that Ryan and Jeff both answered that one, and maybe you want to repeat that. So during the optimization process, up through the panel optimization console, is it possible to force changes on the fly to another machine. So I guess that question is related to is there criteria or anything else which makes a decision, I want to output that to that particular machine or to another machine. And
yes, and Ryan answered the question about how you would do it before you make the batches based on the data in the routings, and I answered it basically on how you can do that even after you've created the batches. You still have the opportunity to host to different machines as long as the optimization settings that you used are compatible with those machines. And you can also, I don't think it was mentioned, or maybe I missed it, or maybe I was answering a question while it was presented, but you can also run multiple optimization scenarios against the same optimization batch. So you can choose different settings each time you run the optimization, and then choose which optimization run you want to eventually push into production. So you have a lot of flexibility in the setup using the routings, but then also a lot of tools within the optimization console to do different things as exceptions to the rule. And again, all the things that Wolfgang showed as automated, you can run those all on demand as well. So you can walk the process through by hand and look at each step of the way, look at the results, compare the results, or you can set up an automated workflow to make those decisions for you based on a set of rules you've established ahead of time.
Perfect. Then there was another question, again, for the optimization and the remnant management, like the offcuts. There was an example. Can I have, for an example, a rule that it use first all the offcuts and then the regular boards, like a 4x8 or others?
Yeah, and there the answer is that's in the way you set up your alternate items at the item master level. You give them a priority sequence number, and you can decide when remnants are automatically generated what sequence number they get in that list of alternate items. So you can make them either the first priority, somewhere in the middle, or near the end. It's up to you and the configuration of your system.
Perfect. Then, obviously, I was just waiting for that question. What is the best possibility to talk about the WinStore implementation? We have lots of questions about this topic. I bet you guys do, or the Werkstatt system, whatever you have. I would suggest that is something you do with your project manager to tackle that, and that person will bring in the experts to talk about that integration, and because every company will do this probably in a little bit of a different way on how to integrate that. Another one, I'm not sure if that was answered. Can you post to Cat 3, Cat 4, and Cat 5 SAW post processors?
Yeah, that one we'll have to follow up on. I'm not sure of the answer to all of those off the top of my head, so we'll have to come back and bring an answer back for that one later.
Good. Another one here, construct 13, is that required, or what is required for version inside 12? I guess the answer is here, we can use construct 12, 13, and the new one 14.
Joerg, let me maybe mention something, because there's quite a few overlapping questions revolving around construct. By the way, can you guys hear me okay?
You're fuzzy for some reason, but it's still understandable for the most part.
Fuzzy?
Yeah.
Huh. Sorry about that. So the construct 12 is running with AutoCAD 2016, and we have heard from more and more people that when for some reason the AutoCAD license, even though you're paying it and all that, somehow locks up, Autodesk will not give you a new one. They basically really expect you to go to a newer version because 2016 is not supported. So it's definitely not something we would recommend anybody staying on in a production environment. And so Construct 13 needs AutoCAD 2018. that's also more or less at the tail end of its support. So I believe it is still supported, but not for much longer. So in my opinion, you're making the step to upgrade inside, it would make sense to also move to the most current construct, which requires AutoCAD 2020.
Okay. I think that answered that question. Then another one was here, are the grid results in the shop floor browser able to be customized? So the answer was here, the checkpoint.
Just posted the answer.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so it is. So what else?
I don't know that everybody can see the answer, so you might want to read.
Oh, really? Okay. So yes, the answer is yes, they can be customized in the same way you can for the existing desktop browser. So all the store procedures that are being used to drive the behavior of each checkpoint frame are the same store procedure definitions that are driving the browser shop floor client. So when you make a change to the desktop client procedure overrides, they also apply immediately to the browser client. And that was part of our overall strategy, is to make the both clients run off of the same checkpoint configuration data. So you don't have to deploy or reset up a whole new set of checkpoints and a whole new set of frame definitions for your checkpoints. You just need to start using the browser client, and it will your checkpoints will be configured just as they were in the desktop client.
Yeah. Another one was regarding named user licenses. So I guess some of you have a lot of concurrent users, but you use a lot of users. More users, basically more people are using these licenses, that they share them in between. And I think if the one answer was here, definitely, yes, it can be a named user, but it can also be a checkpoint, so that multiple people dial into the same checkpoint at from time to time, that they share basically that named user. In some cases, we probably have to discuss that account by account. But in general, these users will just be swapped between the current one and the web browser-based one. Is there a work order inquiry web-based screen? Not at this time. Well, that's a question here. What version of AutoCAD is required for Construct 13, which is AutoCAD 2018? And then Construct 14 requires AutoCAD 2020. That's basically Wolfgang answered that. I'm not sure if that question was answered here. Can multiple users be logged in at once under generic shop for login for browser?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, they share the same profile, right? So they share the same permissions, the same rights to different features and functionality, and the same configurations in any given grid or form. So as long as that's okay, then that can be done successfully.
At the same time.
Yes.
And then can Construct 14.
But you have to keep what you have to keep in mind though. Any logging, auditing in the system that's done is done by that username. So you lose a little bit of auditability the more you share a common user across multiple real users.
Yeah. Can Construct 14 work with AutoCAD 2018? No, it cannot. It's required AutoCAD 2020. And then there are more WinStore questions here. I believe you have a live link to WinStore. I know that we are working right now with a couple of companies on that type of integration. I think we need to tackle this one-on-one with the WinStore or any other material handling machine. I would suggest we schedule a one-on-one session on this one. There's another question regarding construct, which we answered already. Okay, working WinStore. WinStore integration again, so it's probably a very interesting topic. Okay, and I'm very sorry when I skipped a question here. It's not my intention to do that. I really hope that I can that we can answer all of your questions here. If not, please let us know. Don't want to avoid here anything.
Yeah, we're not skipping any on purpose.
No. Is mobile service support time tracking? Yes.
Yes.
It does.
But not on the mobile app yet. It supports it from the Insight client, but not from the mobile app itself.
Have upgrades made Construct faster and more stable than Construct 12? Well, there's something I cannot answer. Wolfgang, maybe, or Jeff?
I'm not in particular aware of extreme unstable behavior with Construct 12. So yeah, I don't think I can say yes or no to that.
Okay, we might have to follow up on this one, why it's slower at your point here, whoever asked that question.
Oh, sorry, Joerg, I have a correction to the mobile service support time tracking. That is a new feature in version 12. The mobile app now does let you log time against the service orders. So that's a correction to my answer of no before.
And I see, I think there's, I think the question here was corrected as well, is the service module supporting time tracking?
Yes, in general, yes. And you can do it either via the time tracking shop floor frame that you showed, Joerg, live, and you can do it now directly with the mobile app client that we have.
Good. And then so far I see the last question. What would you suggest, which kind of SQL version would we suggest when migrating to version 12? Well, I guess.
Yeah, I believe that's in the system requirements. I believe it's SQL 2017, and there's a certain revision level that's required. I can look that up while we're taking a few more questions.
Yeah, we had this in one of the slides, definitely 2017.
But it's okay to go to 2000. Is 2019? Is that?
Yeah, that's
thing?
Yeah. But that's the minimum. I'm talking about the minimum requirement for version 12.
Well, another question came in here. Can multiple people log into one checkpoint to get the cost of the work center per day? So I guess it's when it's a named user.
Well, so yes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the questioner can't. If you know of the secondary login we have called the employee login within the shop floor frame. So there's the user that logs into Insight to get the permissions and the right forms available. But then at that checkpoint, once it's logged in, we have that second layer of login called employee login. And in that case, anyone that's authorized at that checkpoint can walk up and do any kind of scanning or transactions using that secondary login. And you can define in the checkpoint configuration whether a login is required to perform a transaction. So I'm not sure if that answers the question, because I'm not sure I fully understand the question the way it was written. Maybe if the questioner can either repost or say that did answer their question, that would help us.
Oh, that's clarified here. We have different amount of people in the work center during the day.
Oh,
Well,
Right.
so he's trying to get an average of, he has 10 people during the day and 5 at night.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest then the employee login, because if you're really interested in actual costs, the employees can also have specific cost rates associated with them. So you could leave that checkpoint logged in with the generic named user login, but then as each employee goes up to do a transaction, they scan their barcode, their employee barcode, and then the next transactions will be logged against that specific employee until a different employee walks up and does his own transaction or her own transactions.
okay.
I hope that answered the question.
Well, there are more questions. I need to know how many people are working to get the cost center cost.
Yeah, at the work center, I think, Jeff, at the work center level, he's you're only allowed to put in a one quantity for that work center. He's got a different quantity of people, of employees at that work center, depending on the day.
Yeah,
so
but you can use the employee group functionality then. So you can build the groups, the teams basically, and you can dynamically adjust the teams with another shop floor frame throughout the day if the formation of that team changes. Again, I'm not sure if that answers the question, but you can sign in as a team against a work center and not just individuals.
Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can do also one-on-one on this one to continue that more in detail, if you want to. Any other questions? Again, please feel free to use the Insight support contact information, which you already have anyhow, either the phone number or the email to send us more of your questions around version 12, or get in touch directly with your project manager, that we can answer the rest of the questions. I don't see any new ones coming in here. So with that, I hope that it was a good session for all of you, that you got some education out of this one, what's new in version 12. Again, if you want to see the whole list of everything, please, I would like to refer to the release notes of version 12. Either you can ask for that from us. We are more than happy to email them back to you. And the other option is that you get the installation media, and in the installation media, we have the release notes included. So with that, I thank everyone who participated here today. Everyone has a great day. Bye-bye.